Welcome to Seize the Mains by Malhotra's IS Academy. I am Surbhi Sardana and I will be taking this initiative from Monday to Friday at 9 pm. If this is your first video or you're watching this initiative for the first time, then let me tell you that here we discuss one UPSC Civil Services exam question, one mock question every day, and we discuss how to build the structure of an answer to get you more marks in mains. If you are new, you can download the schedule for next 30 days, that is till March 17, from the description below. This initiative will go on for 90 days at least and will stop only for UPSC prelims break. So without further ado, let's see what is the topic for today. Today is day 10 and according to our schedule, it's the time for GS paper 2. Today we will be discussing a question regarding quasi-judicial bodies, which is a part of UPSC main syllabus in GS paper 2 polity. So let's see what is the question for today. But before starting, I request you to have a pen and a paper handy with you. As I display the question, pause the video for 1 or 2 minutes and note down the points what come to your mind before you actually start to write your answer. Use those points and build the structure of your answer yourself and then start writing. And let's see what's the question. The quasi-judicial bodies play a key role in the governance of the country. Elaborate this statement. Answer in 150 words and it's there for 10 marks. This is a very straightforward and a very simple question. You cannot have any simpler question than this with regards to quasi-judicial bodies in UPSC or your state civil services exams. So this question has been taken for 150 words because a lot of students are facing issues with word limit. So we are discussing 150 words questions for a few days. And with regards to this question, you just have to elaborate the statement that is given, that the quasi-judicial bodies play a key role in the governance of the country. Like you just have to talk about their positive aspects, what are their importances, what is their importance in the governance of the polity of India. If you think that there are some loopholes in how quasi-judicial bodies functions, there are many Supreme Court verdicts and many orders are issued by Supreme Courts and High Courts from time to time, which ask the government of India to strengthen the functioning of quasi-judicial bodies. There are many vacancies lying in many quasi-judicial bodies. So if you have to talk about them, just use a very short paragraph, just use keywords separated with commas. This question just demands the positive side of quasi-judicial bodies and their importance in governance. So let's begin our answer by writing an introduction, by developing a conversation with the examiner, and as usual we'll start by introducing whatever has been asked in the question. So here there's just one thing that's been talked about, and that is quasi-judicial bodies. So let's see what we have here for introduction. A quasi-judicial body is an entity which has powers and procedures resembling those of a court of law or judge. It has the power of enforcement of law, but it is different from a court. So this is a very straightforward definition. This is not a very techie type of definition of a quasi-judicial body. Anybody reading this answer for the first time would definitely understand what is a quasi-judicial body. As the word indicates, quasi-judicial, so it has judicial functions, but since it is quasi, so it is partially judicial body. It is not part of the judiciary, it is an extension of different organs of the government for whichever it is functioning. So it is an entity which has powers and procedures resembling those of a court of law or judge. And this line, the second line, is very important here, that which specifies that it is not a court, it is a separate entity in the governance of India. So it has the power of enforcement of law, it can enforce laws, but it is not a court. So make sure that you write both the lines here. The first line defines, the second line differentiates. So make sure you use both of them. So introduction talked about the definition. Now moving on to the next line. How do you build the next line? Whether it is part of your introduction or you want to develop it as a separate linkage point. you have to talk a little bit in detail about quasi-judicial bodies. You can talk about their historical developments, why were quasi-judicial bodies created in India, or you can just broadly talk about what purpose do they serve, and then you can turn the direction of your answers to just directly say that following are the roles of quasi-judicial bodies in the governance of the country, and that's how the structure of the answer has to be. So let's see what are the linkage points here. The powers of quasi-judicial bodies are usually limited to a very specific area of expertise and authority, such as environment protection, land use and zoning, financial markets, employment law, public standards, and or a specific regulations of an agency. So here you have specified that their role is very much limited. Experts are taken from one area or from parts of judiciary. Some judges are hired from parts of judiciary and experts from one area are taken, and they are put in place as judges in a quasi-judicial body. They are there to decide on a case or a public matter. So every quasi-judicial body decides only in the matters it has been assigned a role into. For example, if we are talking about National Green Tribunal, it takes only cases which are related to environment. If we talk about National Human Rights Commission, they take cases which are only related to violation of human rights or research thereof. So how do you, these linkage points are meant to give a brief, the first step to building your answer, so that the examiner gets an overview that okay, this student is an intelligent one and he or she knows what he's talking about. So here we've told that they have very specific functions, and here you've told you've given examples of the specific functions. Here you can also give examples of the quasi-judicial bodies you know about. For example, if you're talking about environment protection, you can directly use the name of NGT in that place. Or in terms of public services, you can directly use the name of CAT. So just improvise your answer and see what all you can innovate in that. So from here onwards, we'll start to build our body paragraphs and we'll start to write what is the importance of quasi-judicial bodies in the governance of our country. So let's begin with point number 1. The first point talks about low cost and reach. See, ordinary judicial processes are very expensive. Any common person has to hire an advocate. The advocate charges his or her own fees. Plus the reach of the courts, they're not everywhere. We can talk about district courts or lower courts, but what if a case has been sent to the High Court or the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court is located in the capital of the country. So for a person staying in South India, it's very hard for him to travel again and again to the capital of the country or even to the capital of the state where the High Court of his state might be located. So reach and cost, these are very big issues in ensuring justice in our nation. So many people cannot afford the technicalities of the judicial process, and reach, like geographical reach and social reach of judiciary is very sparse, is very low. So to address those issues, quasi-judicial bodies play a very great role. You must have heard about consumer courts. So consumer courts, the reach of consumer courts is very large as compared to any district court or any normal court where you would have taken a consumer redressal, a consumer complaint. So that's how their low cost and reach issue has been addressed by the coming up of these quasi-judicial bodies. So here you can underline the keywords as: in the conventional judicial process, a large section of the population hesitate from approaching the courts, which defeats the purpose of justice. Quasi-judicial bodies like tribunals, on the other hand, have an overall low cost. This is your keyword here, overall low cost, which encourages people to seek redressal for their grievances. So people are encouraged. Encouraged is a very positive word here. Encourage, motivate, anything. So this word shows that yes, there is a change happening as compared to what? As compared to the hesitation before. Hesitation has been turned into encouragement for people. So for example, as we took the example of consumer courts, this example we have taken here. You can have your own examples. There are so many quasi-judicial bodies, and whatever appeals to you. If you have been to any quasi-judicial body, or your relative has been benefited out of it, or even if you've not benefited out of them, you can add them into the negative points if the question demands that. Here we don't have to address the negativities, so make sure that you add your own examples. Consumer courts are the recent examples, so we've taken that here. The second part is simplicity. See, ordinary judicial procedures, any layman cannot understand a simple basic court notice because the language is very hard. You're all UPSC aspirants, you must be going through the constitution, and constitution is written in very simple language. Even then, sometimes it becomes hard for the aspirants to directly understand the constitution, and that's why we go to teachers and we follow textbooks like Lakshmikant and D.D. Basu. So, just imagine that if a simple document like constitution is so hard to understand for the educated people of the country, for the aspirants of UPSC, how hard it must be for a layman who doesn't even understand the technical language, for a layman to understand a court order or to a legal notice. So it is a very technical process. These quasi-judicial bodies make the processes very simple. In many of these bodies, you can just directly go and represent your own case. You don't even have to approach an advocate for that matter. You can just, in very simple language, represent yourself. You don't have to take the route of legal language or legal counsels. So second point here is simplicity. So let me read this out for you. Quasi-judicial bodies do not follow any lengthy or complex procedure for submitting application or evidence, etc. In many of them, the party concerned can represent their own case without even involving a legal counsel. Also, laws of natural justice are followed by many of them. So if you've heard about National Green Tribunal and many other, CAT also, they follow the laws of natural justice while delivering their decisions, while giving justice to the people. So they ensure that justice is not denied due to the legal procedures involved. They understand the case on a separate, they understand the value of justice on case to case basis and use the laws of natural justice. This is very important here. Okay, so that's how we ensure timely justice and timely and more efficient justice for the citizens of our nation. The next point here we have is expert knowledge. So people who are working as judges in ordinary courts, district courts, high courts, supreme courts, they are a part of judiciary. When the need for this NGT, National Green Tribunal, and NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, the need for these types of institutions was felt because judges act as part of judiciary. They have not worked on a ground level. They don't understand many a times the ground realities. Though they are very intelligent and very knowledgeable, they deliver justice in very efficient ways, but many a times it has been seen that involving expert people on the panel for delivering justice would be a more efficient way. They would be able to relate to the person having a grievance or deliver justice in a more efficient way for people if they can relate to them. So we have for NHRC, we have chairpersons from National Women Commission, National Commissions from scheduled for backward classes, for SCs and STs, so things like that. In NGT also we have people who have worked as environmentalists or who have a background in environment. So having these people in the panel make sure that there is a lot of expert knowledge that's going behind delivering justice, and they can decide on case to case basis. So expert knowledge is a very important positive attribute of quasi-judicial bodies. And the fourth point here is reduction of workload. We all know that there are crores of cases lying pending with the judiciary of our nation. Around 2.43 cases are lying pending. So what does this mean? That the access to justice has been denied. We all know that justice delayed is justice denied. So to address that issue, these quasi-judicial bodies take a lot of load from share of judiciary, and they ensure that justice is delivered more quickly. Obviously, appeals can go to high courts and then Supreme Court, but in the first place, the first verdict that comes, that is very much quick, and many new initiatives have also been started to ensure timely delivery of justice. So this is the fourth point. This is one of the most important points whenever you are dealing with questions of judiciary. This workload, pendency of cases is an overarching issue, and it's been going on for decades. So talk about it, learn about it whenever you are studying about judiciary, that there is a lot of workload and there is a lack of judges, there is pendency of cases. So it has been talked about even internationally, about the denial of justice in India, about the delay of justice in India. So quasi-judicial bodies reduce that time, they ensure that justice is delivered on a timely basis, and because of their reach, their expert knowledge, the justice is more efficient. So that's these were the 4 points. Now we'll start on to build our conclusion. See, here the question demands only the positive side of quasi-judicial bodies, and it's a very short question, just 150 words. So here we've given you only 4 points, but don't restrict yourself to just 4 points. You can add your own examples. If there is one body that you've studied about from your general textbooks, or you've read about in the newspaper, so make sure that you add examples of those bodies and you make more points around those bodies. So for example, this expert knowledge, this was a point. We all know that the NHRC Act, the act the act behind NHRC and State Human Rights Commissions, it was amended like some time ago. So more experts were added after the amendment. So this is something that has been taken from current affairs, converted into a point, and that current affair has been used as example here. So go through your polity current affairs and just see that what all examples, what all more factors can you fit in this area. If you go to sample answers of such questions, all the sample answers speak the same language and they will not get you more marks. To get more marks, you'll have to be very much active in your preparation, very dynamic. You'll have to edit your notes from time to time, you'll have to make notes from the newspaper and then add to your answers. That's how you'll get more marks in mains. This is just a way to explain you that how do you structure your answer, how do you build your answers. So getting to the conclusion. In the conclusion, we have talked about a little problems that's lying with quasi-judicial bodies. So here we say quasi-judicial bodies were meant to reduce burden on judiciary, but appeals can be made against the decision of these bodies in High Court. So appeals can be made. So again, there is a delay of justice from the High Court to Supreme Court. Then, so a question has been raised that if the appeals from a tribunal can go to the High Court, then what is the point of having a tribunal in the first place? When the decision is not final and binding on the parties, then what is the point of having them? It will delay justice in the longer run anyways. And the second the second challenge is, also some of these bodies are just recommendatory in nature. NHRC, for example, it's called a toothless tiger many times, National Human Rights Commission. They're just recommendatory in nature with no real powers. Some of them have pending vacancies and are low on funds. I think the Consumer Commission, the commission with regards to consumer rights, had a lot of vacancies, and now Supreme Court has directed the government to fill those vacancies as soon as possible and include like good technical members on the team. And some of them are low on funds, hence diluting the basic idea of justice. So these were the problems that we talked about broadly. This is a very short question, so we could not write them in points because we have to adhere to the word limit also. In the concluding paragraph, we will just say that okay, despite of all these challenges, despite of all these problems, these bodies are a great help to the nation and have substantially decreased the burden of judiciary. Substantially decrease the burden of judiciary or substantially increase the reach of justice to the common people. You can use any of the statement you like. This conclusion just sums up your answer and gives a way forward for the examiner. or talks about any government policies that you know about. Here we don't have any government policy. This is itself a government, an organ of the government. So you have to conclude your answer that how it has helped the governance. So they also enable efficient governance of the country by addressing the core issues. So core issues, or because they are made for specific reasons. Each tribunal, each quasi-judicial body is addressing one type of issue. So they address the core issues more efficiently. Steps have to be taken to give them autonomy and real powers on par with judiciary to make them more effective. So this is a very general statement at last. You can choose to skip it if you have, like, if you're crossing the word limit already, or you can include it. So talking about the structure of this answer, writing in steps is always a good idea, but since you have 4 points here, you can always use this diagram and write down your 1, 2, 3, 4 points here. Okay, or you could just use a tree. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, use diagrams like these, or use a circle, which is a more formal way of representation. Use this circle, divide this into quadrants, and give the heading: low cost and reach, simplicity, and points like these here, and mark this circle as quasi-judicial bodies. Okay, you can have your own representations. If you're more artistic in nature, you can have any kind of representation, but just put more efforts to get more and more marks from the examiner, because the content always remains the same. The knowledge, the content with most of the UPSC aspirants who are writing mains, it remains the same. So make sure that you innovate in your answers, you add more structures like these, you make the answer very much legible, very much neat and readable for the examiner. The examiner must feel that there is a flow in your answer and it is easy to read, and you deliver what all you have read or for the whole year. Whatever you've got from current affairs, by reading the constitution, by reading NCRTs, taking examples of other countries which have successfully implemented such bodies or things like that. So make sure that you incorporate them in as many answers as you can, and incorporate them where they're relevant. So that's about it. This was the discussion for today. We eagerly wait for your responses. We have all your responses in place, and our team is working day and night to give you our valuable feedback. Send your answers, try to write your own answers, don't copy this answer, try to add your own points, and read newspapers and magazines thoroughly. Go through them, especially when you're writing mains answers side by side. Learn how to incorporate current affairs in your mains answer, whether they're from history, polity, or any subject. We are coming up with examples of incorporating current affairs every day. So stay tuned. Send your answers to us by 12 PM of February 22 at rmiasmainswriting@gmail.com. We'll see you with another topic, with another question and answer discussion tomorrow, that is on Tuesday. The topic for tomorrow is from GS3, linkages between development and spread of extremism. Make sure that you have downloaded the schedule for this initiative so that you can calibrate your preparation accordingly. Tomorrow we'll be discussing a question from GS3, and about this, you can download our today's presentation. You can download it in PDF format from the link given in the description below. Also, all these things are available on our Telegram channel, so make sure that you subscribe to that. Take care, keep working hard, finish your targets well on time, and stay tuned.